Okay, so player housing is coming to World of Warcraft. Now you can finally fulfill your dream of hanging a Hugger trophy on your wall, or maybe decorating your living room with a life-size replica of the Frozen Throne. If that's your thing, you can sit there while you wait for a raid group. But hey, in all seriousness, this is a great thing, actually. At least for me. I'm a simmer. I played every single Sims game and that you can possibly imagine, so you might understand where I come from. My favorite hobby was locking people inside a room with an oven, then I deleted the door and I ordered them to cook. I just sit there and wait to see if they catch on fire, they scream for help, and eventually they die from the flames. Then I'd switch back to WoW, where I could do that more efficiently by throwing fireballs at people. Well, all I can say is I love any game where I can build things, okay? I played Valheim and Enshrouded a lot. I love building houses and bases, and thinking that sort of thing could be in WoW got me really excited. I'm already planning how I'm going to build my base, thinking of all the materials I could use and which architecture style. Thinking of that raises some questions actually, and I made this video to clarify what I have found so far, but mostly just to share my thoughts and theories. What we know so far. All they released was a teaser that didn't show much actually. Just a warrior entering his room. He had an onyxia head hanging on the wall. Then our hero sits by the fire and takes a sip from his good old mug, which has the text "Home Sweet Home" engraved on it. The camera cuts to his face, he gives us a smile, and that's it. That's the teaser. So that's not a lot to go on, barely enough to know that there will be a player housing expansion, to be honest. But, and that's a big but, I cannot lie. You other brothers can't. There's the internet. That's all-knowing, all-wise, being people data mine stuff. So me, I'm lazy, I just stumble on things and occasionally decide to tell you about them. Unfortunately, as far as I've checked, most sites are just speculating, so there's not a ton of information about player housing yet. But hey, if that's what we have, then let's speculate away, shall we? Crafting and professions. One thing that's safe to say is that players will probably be able to craft decorations for their houses. Possibly furniture might even drop from bosses or other enemies in the game world. This could hint at a new profession maybe? I'm thinking artisan or woodworker, or maybe they will incorporate it into some of the existing professions, like tinkering, for example, or maybe blacksmithing. Thinking of that, blacksmithing would make sense too, crafting decorative shields and weapon racks. I'd love to craft my own furniture. Another thing I'd bet on is that this will tie into the Warcraft Rumble game. They're really pushing it since it's a mobile game and could be very profitable for Blizzard. Getting WoW players to play seems like something Blizzard is keen on doing. If you watch the teaser, there's a Warcraft Rumble-esque Huntress miniature on the left of Onyxia's head. So it's almost guaranteed that some items will only be obtainable by achieving something in Warcraft Rumble. If these are exclusive, I don't know. I hope not. I wouldn't like to have to play it, but it seems very likely, to be honest. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Garrisons. Yeah, those have been memed to the death, and Blizzard knows Garrisons weren't very popular. Since they've been playing it safe lately, it's very likely they'll learn from that mistake and do things differently this time. We can probably expect a higher level of customization, like placing individual items and having more control over the building styles. And speaking of style, the trailer showed 2 doormats by the end. So this suggests, and this is just me thinking, like everything else I just said, just speculation, but This suggests there'll be different styles of housing for Alliance and the Horde. You might choose a style based on your faction at the beginning, unlocking more as you progress through the system, or even there might be very few faction-specific things since they have been breaking down the barriers between Alliance and the Horde lately. Personally, I'd love if houses started with items specific to your race. For example, undead could have crypts with graves and gloomy aesthetics, while night elves could have trees and plants and even a moonwell. Later on, you would unlock items from other races and factions. I think that would be an interesting progression. Instanced versus open world. A major concern, at least for me, is whether player housing will be instanced or not. With instanced housing, you'd have a placeholder house in the game world, like one of the buildings in Stormwind, for example, and once you buy it, you can enter and decorate it however you want. But other players who pass by in the city would only see the generic version of the house, unless, of course, they're friends or guildmates, I guess. The other option, non-instanced housing, is worse in many ways. If players can buy plots of land, space will quickly run out. Rich players and big guilds would buy everything, and zones like Elven Forest would lose their vibe, their look, because everything would be full of houses and buildings everywhere. On top of that, if players would have the freedom to build however they want, it will totally ruin the aesthetic of the zone. Imagine troll huts in Dunmoreau. That would completely destroy the immersion. Building systems. Speaking of building, what will the systems be like? I doubt it will be like The Sims where you place full auras, raise walls, and design roofs. It's more likely that we'll choose from some preset house models with limited customization for the exterior. Like, we'll probably be able to choose roof styles, wall textures, and maybe some extensions like a porch, for example. On the other hand, players will have more freedom decorating interiors. Would it be cool to place every wall individually? Absolutely, I would love to do it, but that's very unlikely to happen. Comparing to other MMOs. To understand how this might work, we can look at other MMOs. In Elder Scrolls Online and New World, you can buy pre-existing buildings in the game world. These are instanced, so only use your customizations. Guild Wars 2 added Homestead later, with specific zones for housing. You can buy land and cultivate it, but it's also instanced. Arcade used the non-instanced housing system with land ownership tied to specific zones. This system keeps aesthetics intact but leads to land being monopolized by rich players and large guilds. And that's where we are for now. I'm pretty excited about player housing. I have always wanted to see it in WoW. And no, Garrisons don't count. All we can do now is wait and see what Blizzard has planned. So thanks guys, thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did, you click like, or don't, I'm not your mother. And if possible, subscribe to the channel, also of course if you want. So anyway, thanks for watching and see you later. Bye.